Good evening, Garden City. I'd like to call to order our regular city council meeting for Monday, September 25th, 2023 at 7 p.m. First order of business is our opening ceremony, which consists of the national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for those service members who have given their lives for our country. And today, for our Pledge of Allegiance, we will be led by Maddie Richardson. So if everyone would please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Maddie. Very good. Excellent job by Maddie. Mr. Miller, if you take roll call, please.
Mayor Jacobs.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dolan.
Present.
Councilmember Karafotis.
Here.
Councilmember Squires.
Here.
Councilmember Earl.
Here.
Councilmember Witt.
Here.
Councilmember Lynch.
Show Councilmember Lynch absent and excused.
Thank you. You do have a quorum with 6 members present, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on, you'll notice we're all in the Owen Strong t-shirts. Councilmember Karafotis brought it up about all of us wearing it to show support for Owen Gibbons, and I thought it was a good idea also, so that is why we are wearing our shirts. We should be back in our regular nice outfits next time. Item 4, approval of the agenda.
Mayor,
Councilmember Witt.
I move to approve the Monday, September 25th regular council meeting as presented. Agenda as presented.
Councilmember Earl. Discussion from the table. From the public. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. We have no recognitions. Item 6, comments from state and county officials. We have today Senator Dana Pohanke, who is going to present us with a small little check for our fire station renovation. And can I get the Fire Chief Randy Keene to come up with me, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council members. It's actually a big fake check, but the real money is coming soon. So I don't know how I do this. I'll do it to the council members. Okay.
This way.
Oh, okay. So on behalf of me, this proud state senator for Garden City and the state of Michigan, I fought hard for Garden City to get $800,000 for fire department renovations. I was just there today and I was actually presenting former Chief Harmon with a tribute. And I got to see that some of the renovations has started with other money from other sources, but I'm happy to have played a part in helping that much-needed renovation. Don't you agree?
I do, thank you.
Okay.
I'd just like to say thank you to the senator for all your hard work. I'm sure the chief would like to say a couple words, but anything we can get, and for all your efforts, we appreciate everything you can do. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you for your efforts. As you can see, it's well needed and it's appreciated by me and the staff over there as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Could someone do one with my phone? Anybody's fine. Thank you. Appreciate it. Great, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you again, Senator. Senator, did you have any other updates or anything else you wanted to say, or? You don't have to.
I will say one thing, I'm fighting hard for, you know, as a high school teacher for almost 20 years, I stood in a lot of lunch lines, thousands of lunch lines. I really did like my hot lunch. And I saw firsthand the stigmatization of kids whose parents hadn't paid their lunch tab, and, you know, they get the brown bag lunch with just like a small, you know, sandwich and an apple in it, and it's really painful. So there's stigma. I've also witnessed kids who are hungry and they can't concentrate. It's not conducive to learning for them. And so in the Michigan legislature, we put in for free school meals, breakfast and lunch, for all public school kids, all of them. And so since September, every kid has had a free school meal. And I've heard a lot from parents who, you know, the average parent is gonna save about $850 a year on this. And there's also not having to worry about packing lunch and lunch prep, and these are nutritious meals. It's not corn dogs and Salisbury steak like some of us old people may remember. You know, they have very nutritious meals and lots of great options for kids. So I'm going to hold a vote tomorrow in my education committee, and I have the votes for it to pass. Senate Bill 500 is permanent, free school breakfast and lunch for all Michigan kids forever. A budget is what you prioritize, and I can't think it has wide bipartisan support. It's not a Republican thing, Democrat thing. So hoping it makes it all the way, and I think that's a pretty big deal. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. That sounds like a great bill. We have State Representative Dylan Lagella.
Hey, everybody. I have a couple updates today. I want to update just on some things we're working on. The hope this fall is to see, move out of both chambers, a comprehensive environmental package. I think the details of that are obviously still being negotiated. It is my hope that we pass the strongest legislation possible to fight climate change, which is obviously one of the most detrimental things to our society these days. So be watching in the news for that. Another thing that we have to do this fall is to implement the details of Proposition 1, which is the disclosure law, and there is some debate going on behind the scenes, and if I can peel back the veil for you just a little bit, One of the things that we're debating right now is whether or not to include spouses in financial disclosure. Something that I'm advocating for heavily on the House side is that we do, because if I'm a married person in office. If I put everything in my spouse's name, no one in the public would know what some of my business ties could be if I had them. So it's a loophole that I think needs to be closed. That being said, I hope that we can get some movement on that, and we'll see what the final product ends up being. Last week, I held 2 town halls. I held the first one on Monday, which was a town hall for universal healthcare in Michigan. I am a co-sponsor of the MyCare legislation. Shout out to Mayor Pro Tem Dold for attending that. Then on Thursday, it was a busy week last week, I held a corporate greed town hall where we went over some of the details on how I've been fighting corporate greed in Lansing with legislation and voting, but also we told people how they can support the ongoing United Auto Workers strike. And we actually went to the picket line afterwards at Local 900 in Wayne. Was very happy on the turnout on that, and we live streamed both of these if you want to watch them on my state representative Facebook page. The last 2 updates I have, last week I introduced a bill for anyone who goes to sporting events in Michigan. I'm a season ticket holder for the Lions, the first time in my life, so wish me some luck with that. But I introduced a bill that would cap the price of water bottles at entertainment ticketed venues. I went this weekend and bought a bottle of water for $7. I've never used a water fountain at any of these venues, Comerica Park, Ford Field, Pine Knob. So we're looking for creative solutions to make sure that people are healthy, that they can purchase the water at these venues, still allowing for a massive profit margin for these companies. This week, we are hoping to finally get published in the Free Press my opinion editorial about my legislation that will try to curb the influence of utilities' secret money in our politics. That's quite a bit of updates, and you all know where to find me. I appreciate all the work that you're doing, and I'll be back up later for public comment, but I just really appreciate all the community support out there for the Owen family, and and I'm proud to represent Garden City.
Thank you. Okay, we have no presentations, no community events, 9, 10. Item 11, consent agenda.
Mayor,
Councilmember Witt.
I move to approve the consent agenda items A1 through 4A as presented.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Earl. Discussion from table.
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem Dold.
would it be at this point that I would ask to have item A4 moved into the action items and off the consent agenda?
Do we do that?
Well, actually, if you didn't want to vote on that portion of it, we would leave it as a consent item and not vote on that. But it is a vote still on the consent calendar.
You would approve the other.
So you'll approve the, yeah.
Yes. So vote for everything but.
But that was, the motion on the floor is to have everything on the consent calendar at this time, though.
So right now, we're voting for the entire consent agenda, 1 through 4A.
Yes. And so this is the time, if you choose not to, or you want something removed from that, you would have to either vote down this motion or ask the motion maker and the supporter to change the motion.
Okay, then I ask that it be changed so that we can have more discussion on item 4A.
I will amend my motion.
Correct.
Yes.
We can have discussion now on it.
Mr. Jacobs, I can't hear you in the back. Can you guys get closer to your microphones?
I can't get much
I mean,
closer.
It was beautiful reception here, but you guys up there, I can't hear you in the back.
Okay. So we can have discussion now. We don't need
Yes.
to.
You don't need to amend the
We don't
motion
need to
either.
amend it.
Oh, it doesn't need to be moved off the consent
No,
agenda or
no,
anything?
but
Okay,
this is the
that's fine.
time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Discussion?
There is some discussion on, well, I would like to have some discussion on the appointment of this gentleman to the DDA board. for reasons that I had indicated earlier, that there have been, I don't want to call them, trying to think of the right word to use.
On your email,
In the past 2 to 3 years, there were issues with this gentleman between the DDA, and there were basically threats to sue the city and the DDA from this gentleman. Now, when I was director, I know that our previous administration would not appoint anyone to the DDA board or any commissioner board that had made those kind of threats against the city. So there were other witnesses to this.
I do not know of any lawsuits or threats of lawsuit. Does city manager or
The DDA board is aware of them, and so is the prior DDA chairperson.
So it sounds like he was going to sue. Do you know what it was about?
I do.
Okay.
There was a, when he came into town, Kitty's, the former Kitty's was purchased. There was conversation that he wanted to turn it into a hookah lounge. Chairman Fleming and I met with him and a realtor and discussed that and let him know that hookah lounges were not allowed in the central business district per our ordinance. So he got upset about that, and at that point threatened to sue the city and the DDA. And then later, I had conversation with him where he had gone before the Planning Commission to get permission to put black brick in. That permission was granted to him. He called the DDA office and wanted to know why we weren't forcing the new owner of the former Moose Building to repaint his wall. And I indicated to him, well, once he got permission, that effectively opened it up for anybody to use that color. And at that point, he again threatened that he would sue the city and he would sue the DDA. Both of these instances, the first one, like I said, former chairperson Fleming was present for that. Both instances were reported to the DDA board.
Okay.
I just
I'm not
felt it was worth
I'm not
bringing up.
familiar with that. The only thing I can remember out of anything was at one point there was the argument about what color bricks could go on buildings. And I know there was an issue with him about the brick color. The DDA had said that he couldn't be black, and the city and everybody else, Planning Commission had said that it could be, and that was as far as I heard it went, so.
Well, you weren't on the DDA board at the time, so it wouldn't have been,
Correct.
that information wouldn't have been, you wouldn't have been privy to it.
Right, but I don't think it would have affected, either way, I don't know if that would have affected the city because the city had said he could have black brick. It sounded like it wasn't.
I'm not giving any merit to either one of the comments that were made. I'm just saying those comments were made. There were threats against the city and against the DDA, and our prior administration indicated a couple of times that they would not appoint anyone to any commission or board that had made threats against the city. I'm bringing it to the councils for your information.
Okay.
So,
Mayor, I
Counsel.
just have a comment.
Councilmember Karafotis.
I know after last DDA meeting that we're, there's a timeline to get someone else appointed, so we make sure we have a full board. But are we, I'm looking for the word, not vetting, but are we talking to these people and saying, you know, that you need to be at these meetings? We had this discussion a few months ago with the last person that was appointed, and they've already missed 2 out of the last 6 meetings, including the one that they had to not even have a meeting because only 2 members showed up. So I think we need to take our time and make sure that we're appointing people that not only are good developers like he is, he's developing our city and we appreciate that, but also have the time to be there and can attend the meetings and actually help the DDA instead of just show up every other month or every 2 months, that kind of thing.
Okay. I was at the last meeting also, and we had a full board there. We do need one more appointee to have a meeting. We're still waiting on a legal opinion on that, but we were told that we need to have another member on the board appointed, whether he shows up at the meeting or not. We at least need the one more.
But should we be appointing people that can come to the meetings and?
I talked to this gentleman. He never mentioned anything about he was angry with the city. We discussed what he liked about the, why he wanted to be on the DDA. He wanted to see development in the city. He wanted to be a part of it, especially in the DDA. Again, I didn't know about the lawsuits, or threat of lawsuit. So that's where I'm at with that. Any other comments?
No, I mean, for me, I never heard about anything. If I would assume that if somebody had threatened to sue the city, that we would have been told about it, but we weren't. So, is this the guy that owns the buildings, like the bin store and all that? That,
Yes.
I mean, they're doing a really nice job developing it down there. You know, if he's supporting the city and if he's gonna make the meetings, and I'm with Councilmember Karafotis, if they're not making the meetings, they need to be removed. So I think that's the stopgap. If they're not going to show up, then take them out. But if this guy's interested in the city, he wants to develop downtown, he's doing a great job developing down there right now, I don't see a problem with it.
Okay. Further comments?
Just wanted to
From-
make sure everyone was aware, that was all.
Okay, thank you. From the public? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Anthony Richard. As for the threats, it not being involved in DDA, was it a threat towards the city as he was trying to influence and scare you, or was he protecting his assets, knowing his legal rights, saying that if this happens, I will sue because I know my rights? Because there's a big difference between him protecting his assets and threatening you with a lawsuit just to stop you, or not you personally, but the city from moving forward in their ways. Okay, there's a big difference between the threat of a suit and him just saying, I will sue, protecting his assets.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, action items.
No,
No.
I said no.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said no? 5-1 then. Okay, action items. Number 1, City Park Playground Grant Bid Award. Ms. Kim O'Farrell, our Parks and Rec Director.
Good evening, council and mayor. I'm looking to award the bid for the DNR Land and Water Conservation City Park Playground Grant to Pinchura LLC in the amount of $477,465.50.
Okay. Did you want to?
I asked Zach to load them. Pardon me?
There they are.
Yeah, they're there. Okay. Just a little background about this. When I came on board at the end of May, early June, it was brought to my attention by the Parks Commission of a grant that was opened up back in 2000, late 18, early 19. Did some research on that. I reached out to DNR and tried to get as much information as possible. There were some delays, including COVID. And then I re-engineered the application. It was pretty much the same application that was designed back in 2019. We did have the bid solicitation opened on August 22nd, and 4 bids were received by the clerk's office on September 5th. And the lowest bid was received from Pinchura LCC in that dollar amount that I had just read off. The Land and Water Conservation Fund grant is a 50% matching grant. Therefore, the city funds to match this grant are in the 2019 Capital Improvement Bond Fund.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for?
I do. Is this the same bid that the gentleman came to the meeting 2 times ago?
Yes, correct. It was a bidder that, I believe this is the number, 477. His company bid over $700,000. He was concerned that there were some items not included in this bid, but as our consultants involved with receiving the bids also acknowledged, their company also missed some minor things when it comes to some bidding, some issues. So we don't feel it's a valid response by him to try to stop this process from moving forward, so.
Well, I did see on here that it said that they took some things out of the bid that's going to leave it up to us to do some of the clearing and some of the work. So did other people bid on that and this one wasn't bid on that?
We'll have Ray come up.
Thank you.
Ray Parker from Hennessy.
Ray Parker with Hennessy Engineers. In the bid process, it was a design build is the way that the process was put forward through the DNR. When those processes go out, some of the companies, the larger ones, make assumptions. All 3 of the 4 bidders did not include removal of the existing equipment or grading. The one that did was a $700,000 bidder. He also left out trash cans and some picnic tables. So there was a trade-off back and forth. A lot of the DP departments will rip equipment out. It's a lot cheaper to do it that way than it is to have a contractor get their equipment and come in and try and do it that way. So
we're going to be doing it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion is in order.
Mayor,
Councilmember Witt.
I move to award the bid for the DNR Land and Water Conservation City Park Playground Grant to Pentura LLC in the amount of $477,465.50.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Squires. Further comment from the table? From the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, item 2 is the Garden City Early Voting Center. Mr. Miller.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Tonight before you is a request to kind of begin the process to establish our early voting for the 2024 presidential election cycle and, of course, all elections going forward. Part of that process is that we're working in conjunction with the county to develop an early voting plan. Part of the plan is that we have to identify where we're going to have our early voting center. And we had looked at if we would go to Radcliffe, if we would go to the police station, if we could handle it at City Hall. And we really made the determination that the multi-purpose room at the police station is the best location for our early voting center. It's also Precinct 9, but as you know, the early voting center will stop voting on Sunday. We'll need Precinct 9 open on Tuesday for that, so it won't be a conflict at that point. And we want to, again, make it convenient for all people. The police station will be open. They're open all the time, of course, and the lobby will be open, the room will be open for the 8 hours as required for the 9 days before the election. The one positive for us is that it is directly next to City Hall. If there's an issue at the precinct or the early voting center, we'll have staff here, we'll be able to get over there quicker and then return back to work at City Hall. So before you is a resolution to recommend that we identify that police station multipurpose room as our early voting center. I'll, if it is approved, I'll put the resolution together and forward it to the county. So.
Thank you. Motion.
Mayor,
Councilmember Squires.
I move to approve the attached resolution designating the Garden City Early Voting Center as the police station.
Support from Councilmember Karafotis. Any further discussion from table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, item 3, Garden City Goodfellows on-street sales.
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem Dole.
motion to approve the Garden City Goodfellows request to conduct on-street 2023 Goodfellow newspaper fundraiser on Friday, November 24th, Saturday, November 25th, and Sunday, November 26th between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. at the intersections of Ford and Middlebelt, Ford and Merriman, Middlebelt and Warren, and Ford and Vinoy, subject to the receipt of hold harmless agreements from participants in accordance with the city's policy of on-street sales.
Support from Councilmember Karafotis.
Question.
Councilmember Witt.
The 25th is the Santalim Parade, so it's working fine with that? It's not going to cause any issues?
Correct.
Do we know?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
We don't sell at this intersection during the
Okay.
parade.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Mayor?
Councilmember Earl.
It's not really a question, just a statement. This is coming at a good time. Somebody was just asking me about donating to charities for tax deductions because obviously our taxes are being jacked over right now by the federal government. So this is a great opportunity for people to donate to a really good cause and get a tax write-off. Goodfellas are a tax-free organization, so, I support this.
Okay. They can write that off, I believe. They should be able to, right?
Yeah.
We can give receipts, yeah. They just want to let us know they need a receipt, and we'll be happy to give them one.
Okay. I do have a question. I don't have a problem with it, but I believe you're on the board, aren't you?
I am, yes.
So I know in the past, and Mr. Miller, this is probably a question for you, should we ask the council if she should recuse herself, or if we don't care,
No.
have her vote?
If she is directly involved with it, but not going to personally benefit, I don't know if it's necessary to abstain or not.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. Any other comments from table? From the general public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay. Item 12, other business. This is Ford Road curb restoration, and I believe this is from Councilmember Witt to discuss.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a presentation that should be up on the screens shortly. But for the past several decades, the street easements on Ford have fallen into great disrepair, especially from Merriman to Inkster Road. Even though the DDA made a significant investment into sidewalks, brick pavers, and landscaping in the late 90s, crumbling and non-existent curbs have caused the bricks along the side of Ford Road to become loose and uneven. Construction projects in the DDA area have led to brick pavers being removed and never replaced. In general, the streetscape that was installed over 20 years ago is suffering from signs of age. The area outside of the DDA is even worse. Overgrown weeds, broken asphalt, uneven sidewalk, and failing curbs contribute to a general blight that makes the city look bad. This is bad for the business community and not fair to our residents. I understand this Ford Road is a state road and that some road maintenance is handled by the county. But I believe Garden City needs to make a serious attempt to upgrade the stretch to help make our city more appealing and to improve the safety of our pedestrians and motorists. Chunks of the curbs have been thrown at buildings from snowplows clearing the street, and the general blight created by the poor appearance of Ford Road should be a concern to all of us. It's been several decades since Ford Road had new concrete put in. Even though the state has milled off the old asphalt and replaced it, they have not made a comprehensive attempt to replace curbs. Even where the curbs are intact, they are often barely even higher than the road. I would like to recommend that a committee be put together and voted on at the October 9th regular city council meeting with city stakeholders and representatives from the state and county to address this problem. I would ask that I be allowed to serve on this committee, along with 2 other council members, along with a representative from the city administration and DPW. I would then propose we invite all of our state and county representatives to be a part of this team, or send somebody from their office. I would also ask a representative from Rashida Tlaib's office to be invited in the event there are federal funds available for this project. I have heard from members of the DDA that they are reluctant to make any improvements to their streetscape until the state takes care of the curbs. I believe that this is a valid concern, and I also think the city and DDA should work together to improve the DDA area while the city works to focus on the area outside of the DDA.
Okay. I guess the only question is, I know you're looking to get state funding or federal funding. If we don't get that, where do you propose the money comes from?
Hopefully, I would look for it with the state having their, the funded balance for road projects, potentially, to work on it. If not, I would hope that we could get our state representative and other state officials to work with for future budgets to get a plan in place. So at least that we have a plan in place to make the curbs better and safer for the motorists, pedestrians, and the business fronts through our downtown, actually from Merriman to Inkster Road.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilmember Karafotis.
Does our city manager know if the state has ever offered to fix those things, or have we looked into it since Zach has brought this up?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. At this point, this has not been a topic of discussion.
Mayor, may I
Mayor
respond?
Pro Tem Dole.
As I know that the DDA in the last probably 7 or 8 years has contacted MDOT several times with photos. There were numerous photos sent to them telling them those curbs need to be fixed, and the reply was always that it is not in their budget.
Okay. Further comments? Okay, we'll look at doing something before October 9th. Okay. Item 14, city manager's report.
One moment,
Take over
please.
public comment.
We need to go to item
Oh, I'm
number
sorry.
13. Thank you.
I'm sorry, public comment. Sorry about that. Anyone wishing to speak?
Maddie had wanted to also address.
Okay, Maddie, I'll have her come up next. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If you don't know, I'm Brendan MacArthur, 31734 Cambridge. I'm an active member here in the community, homeowner, resident. I currently serve on the Recreation Commission. I'm here to address a couple issues with you, one of which occurred last week with City Manager Doc, a phone call I received. The other is the homeschool program being offered at Radcliffe. So starting with the phone call, to give you a little background, last Wednesday I applied for the deputy clerk position here in the city. On Friday I received this call from Doc regarding the city's social media policy and some posts I made 3 weeks ago that suddenly became a problem. The posts did not violate the policy. They were respectful. They weren't disparaging to anyone in the city, nothing like that. The first one regarded my feelings towards the homeschool program. I said that I feel it's inappropriate to be offered by the city. It seems to me to be a way to circumvent the public school system, and it's not something that's typically offered by other municipalities. At which point, he went over the social media policy with me and made a comment along the lines of, you have a right to the First Amendment, but your words have consequences, which I see as a veiled threat considering this came 2 days after I applied for a job with the city. And then he also said it would be better if I just didn't have social media at all. It was clear that, you know, that was, if you want to move forward with the city, be quiet and go along with it, or you have consequences. He then went ahead and told me why I'm wrong, told me he has 5 kids that were homeschooled. But it has nothing to do with that. It's not about going around the public school system, and then began to disparage the public school system in the same conversation. He told me that all they do in public schools is watch movies, and that is why his children are better off than the other kids. And he also stated that his wife used to be a teacher, and now she's a sub at Lathers here in Garden City, but she'll never be a teacher again because she's used to kids that behave. I was kind of shocked to hear these comments come from a city official regarding our public schools, our students. Very disappointed. Furthermore, there's another comment. I said how I felt that Meals on Wheels would benefit from using the kitchen in the Radcliffe Center. He didn't like that either. It's my opinion. I feel that would be a good thought, but again, nothing inappropriate. The real issue here, I mean, I still disagree with the homeschool program. I think it's wrong, but the real issue here is a First Amendment, our rights. As a citizen, I have a right to speak, even if it goes against how the city manager feels, how the mayor feels, how the clerk feels. I shouldn't be afraid as a commission member, as a resident, to state my opinion, whether it's here, on social media, wherever it is, and I shouldn't be getting any type of threat, especially considering I applied for this job 2 days before. I truly hope to see action from council and the mayor to prevent this from happening again, as no resident should feel like they're going to be bullied into silence. And I won't be bullied. I'll stand for what I believe in. I stand for the public schools. I stand for our teachers. And I stand for our community. I appreciate your time and hope you have a great night.
Thank you. Okay, Maddie Richards. Don't yell at me too much.
I'm going to, Mr. Jacobs. Madeline Richards, Ranger 1 Victory. I'd like to let you know that I do appreciate the lines we did put on Hubbard, but I still do want to update about those speed signs on Hubbard.
Okay, like I tried to tell you at St. Raphael's, and you can yell at the police chief behind you. We are We are still working on the speed limit signs, the electronic ones, to try and slow down the speeders on Hubbard. I agree with you, they are fast, and we have an issue with some on a lot of other streets, but we are working on getting some electronic speed limit signs that hopefully will slow drivers down around your neighborhood.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Maddie. Anybody else?
I'm not going to go away that easy on this traffic issue we have. I think it was about a year ago, we had a fatality at Middle Belt in Maplewood, which led into discussions about speed limits. We were told you have to go to the state or county for that kind of action. Well, if you go down Beach Daily, Robichaud High School has 35 miles an hour. Because of the Hines-Merriman debacle, you take Middle Belt, go down Ann Arbor Trail, they have flashing lights that reduce the speed to 25 miles an hour. My question is, have you contacted the state about lowering the speed limit or doing something around our high school? I don't know what you can, what you can't do. But I also believe council is exclusively responsible for the traffic signals within our town. Farmington Road and Hubbard are two instances. Right now, we have the boulevard on Farmington. There is no sidewalks. There is no pedestrian markers. I was told that Marquette and Ford Road are the designated routes of our students from school to their home. I'm asking, why can't we make Donley that area? And on Hubbard, if you go to from Warren in, there's 2 pedestrian markers. Why can't we put another pedestrian marker there and put stop signs on those 4 areas? I figure you're talking about $20,000 for these stop signs. I think it would be to our benefit, and the money's around, folks. I mean, I have no problem with the picnic that was put for the office or a Christmas party. I have an issue about being paid 3 hours to attend that. Where and why did you do that? I don't think it's right, sir. And I believe you made the statement, it's a staff meeting. I'm going to talk to you right now because I'm tired of the way you contort the language and make it very deceiving issues in this town. You are the problem. As soon as you would leave, I would be much more comfortable. No. Okay, here's the second issue. There's preponderance of proof that you haven't done your due diligence. And if someone takes it to court, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a temporary injunction on your surety bond, and you'll have to use your money to defend yourself until you prove you've done your job. And I think there's enough information in this town that we need to make some corrective actions today.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, everybody. Speaking as a resident here in this role, before I forget, the speed limit signs, the new ones we put in that monitor speed as I go, one thing that they don't have is actually, this doesn't tell you what the speed limit is. That's something that I've heard about from several people, and I just keep forgetting to bring that up. So just something to look into. Mr. MacArthur reached out to me as well. And I think I shared the same sentiment in regards to the homeschool programming at Radcliffe Center. I think it's really important for us to have a clear distinction between our services, for every kid that is homeschooled in Garden City, that I think, we lose per pupil funding for our schools, right? So that's around, I think next year will be around $9,400 a kid. And I think there's nothing wrong with homeschooling, right? Actually, I was babysat by homeschooling family while I went to public schools. I feel like I benefited severely from that. But I do think we need to be very careful with using public funds to assist such a thing. I think there needs to be a clear distinction there. that is, and even if that's a space, and even if people are paying for classes, I think there's other programming that we can and should have at a recreation center. Now, if it's programming between public and homeschool kids together after school, I think that's a great idea. But having something specifically for homeschooling, I think is, it's questionable. I'll just say that much. And I also got sent the social media policy. Was a little bit disturbed by the language of it. I think it might need to be relooked at. The way that it was worded was elected officials, appointees, and volunteers had to follow the policy, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why a policy could cover people who are appointed to positions or volunteers or even elected officials. That being said, I did send the policy over to my friends at the ACLU just for suggestions, so I'll get back to them with council if I get any suggestions from them to see how we can just make the city better and the policies better as we move forward. That's all that I had as a citizen. I appreciate you all for the work you do and the tough decisions you make, because I know what that's like, so thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Patty Steenkina, proud public educator and Garden City EA president. I've been a teacher in Garden City for 24 years. One of the council members was a former student, and also there's a child in attendance tonight that was a student of mine. I just want you to, I was really disheartened. I was contacted this weekend, and I was really disheartened to hear that our city was offering schooling during our public school hours. I think a great recommendation would be to offer it to all students and make it an after-school tutoring program or extra assistance where the taxpayers' dollars are used on all the students of Garden City. I hope you look into this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Anybody else? Okay. City manager's report.
All right, Mayor, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I think the gentleman first that spoke, I guess, missed the, certainly only said one side of the conversation. Part of it was he's a member of one of our recreation commissions and decided to go to social media to explain his concerns about recreational programming instead of bringing it up actually at the Recreation Commission. And I don't see social media when it first happens. I get screenshots sent to me some other time. I don't know when the thing was posted when I called him about it, but I did clearly say, which he seemed to miss, of why didn't you bring it up at a commission meeting to discuss it with the Recreation Commission. As far as the homeschooling, just a real side point, homeschoolers pay taxes also. So when we talk about tax money going towards a special program, it's an open opportunity for people that can take classes and programs at our recreation center. So we offer. There's a niche for it, that's fine. It's almost similar, as I said even to the first gentleman when he talked about it, was if you have senior programming during the morning, which we do, that's fantastic. Except there are also seniors in their 70s that work during the day. So the only way we can offer senior programming is that everybody's available at the time we offer it, or we offer it several times during the day. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of traction with a lot of senior programs at 6 and 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So we offer a program, a service, our residents are going for it, they're paying for the service, they pay taxes just like everybody else. So if you're in school and you could take gym class, art class, or a computer class, and Radcliffe offers something during the day on a Friday of gym class, Spanish class, or any class, I don't see what the issue is. If nobody's interested, nobody would come and we just won't run it. But if you can fill a niche, nobody's leaving the school system because Friday on a 10 to 12, Radcliffe's offering a program. So recreation should be offering classes for all groups, for all ages, but to say only kid programs should be at nighttime because that's the only time that all kids can come to the class, well, I'd ask the same question for seniors. Or adult programming, there's adults during the day that are available, but everything should be at night. It's a niche, we fill a niche. Other cities around us do it. I've had it at recreation centers going back to Georgia, South Carolina. It's not a new thing by any means. So again, I think people get confused sometimes thinking that we're offering to a group that's not in the tax system. They pay taxes just like everybody else. They're just not using the school system. And we're not talking about all day long running full school systems. It's just an offering to a niche. Anyway, GCU, October 11th, is the next class for those that are interested. I think we're at 13, 14 people, give or take. So take a look at that on our website for the next Garden City University to learn about how your government works. October 11th is the first class, and that's online. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Miller,
Yes, I just wanted to remind everyone to look at the buzz for election workers and inspectors. We're still trying to fill our roles for 2024. Will be a busy election year, and we will need a lot of help at the precincts and for voting. So if you are interested or know anyone that's interested, recently retired, anything like that, please send them our way and we'll get an application to them. Thank you.
thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Dole.
Got a couple of things. Senator Polehanky brought up the school lunch program, and I wanted to let you know that here in Garden City, the Goodfellows a couple of years ago started a elementary school snack program. So we raise funds specifically for that snack program, and we supply all the elementaries with snacks so that the kids can have something during the day outside of their the lunch and breakfast programs. So we also take donations for that. So the Lucky Squirrel was held. That was a big success. Again, it was the last one for the season. Chili Cook-Off's coming up on October 14th, though, and we still need chili teams. And I'm sorry, the DDA still needs chili teams, and they need volunteers, too. So if you could get a hold of the DDA office at 734-261-2830 and let the Director John know about that. And Mr. Murray, when you came up and you spoke about the school zone speed limit, I guess I never realized before that we don't have that by our schools, and that is actually something that is posted around a lot of other schools in the state. So I would be interested to look into that and see why that is. Traffic should be going slower on Middle Belt, absolutely, around the school. And as to the homeschooling thing, it's my understanding that Michigan state law does not allow us to use taxpayer money for anything to do with homeschooling. So I would also like that looked into further and have those classes offered at nighttime when all of the children can attend them. That's all I got.
Thank you. Councilmember Witt.
Just a speedy recovery to Councilwoman Lynch after her surgery. And then sponsorships and walkers in the parade, or businesses or county, state officials. Registration is open, www.santalandparade.com, or you can email me, Zachary Witt, at santalandparade.com as well, and I can get you the information. That is all that I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Squires.
Yeah, just thank you, Maddie, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. You did a great job. And also to Councilmember Lynch, hurry up and get well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Karafotis.
I have a lot. One thing I wanted to bring up was the social media policy. I know that I was required to sign it when I started on the DDA, and I don't think again when I was on council. But I talked to some other board members this weekend, and they've never even been presented with it, and they've never signed it. One even just said, I'm not signing it. So I think it's something that's falling through the cracks. So maybe Representative Dillon is right that we need to take a second look at it. We need to make sure if we're going to do something, everybody should be doing it. I don't know, is everybody on the council, have we all signed that? Some of us haven't been.
Okay.
So I think that we need to look into that. I'm also aware of the post that Brennan was talking about because I saw it, and it was very respectful. It wasn't anything against the city. But I do find it odd that not so much at the tax dollars, we all pay taxes, I get that. But we're already paying for our schools. So according to the city website right now, we're offering 24 classes and a free pizza party for homeschoolers. But we're not offering that for the other kids. I'm not saying stop the homeschooling altogether, but if we're gonna offer it for them, we should offer something else. There's only like 1 or 2 other classes on the website right now about public school kids. So I saw there was like a health class for the homeschooling, but we don't have anything like that for other kids at a different time. I don't think we have anything science-based that I saw on the website at least, for other kids. And maybe we do, but I was just perusing over the website and that's what I saw. I think that's something that we need to look into, that make sure that we're following the rules. I don't know the state law rules for homeschooling, but I didn't see any other city that's offering it. I looked around today. So I was a little disappointed to hear about a phone call from our city manager if he was actually disparaging our public education. So I think that when it comes to that kind of thing, that our city manager should keep his opinions about homeschooling and public schooling to himself and not make it part of our curriculum at a Parks and Rec department. The other thing I'd like to say was thank you and congratulations to the volunteers who run our city thrift store. The thrift store has recently celebrated its 40th anniversary, helping seniors in our city. I want to say thank you very much to the ladies that volunteer. We appreciate you. And last but not least, I'd like to say that as a resident and a council person, I've always considered our senior population very important and one of my top priorities. If there's a senior in need, I want to help. So my many concerns over the senior thrift store, Meals on Wheels program haven't got very far and doesn't have much enthusiasm. So more than a month ago, I was made aware that there were open positions at the Wayne County Senior Alliance program. So on my own, I applied and went through the interview process. Last Friday, I was informed that I'd been appointed to the board of directors for the Senior Alliance. I'll also be on their compliance committee, so I'm looking forward to serving the seniors in Wayne County and the residents of Garden City. The board of directors mostly decides policy for our senior programming like Meals on Wheels and other things, so I hope I can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Councilmember Earl.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I wanted to speak to the fundraiser that happened for Owen. You know, that's one of the greatest things about this city is when there's somebody in need, the city comes together and supports, and they're supporting a great family, and we wish him the best and continued success in his recoup. Thank you for the wonderful job today. You did a really good job. And I can say that we have met multiple times with the state, with the county, trying to address issues with streetlights and speeds. They're not interested in all at reducing speeds. And I've tried for several years, and we've even tried using some of our associations that we're with. It's like as soon as you bring it up, it's a shut door. They don't want to even hear it. We can continue to talk to them about it. As far as on the side streets, there should be something in front of the schools. However, on the main roads, we still have to go through the proper channels on that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few things. I was fortunate enough, I guess unfortunate enough, however you want to look at it, to go and walk with some UAW brothers and sisters on the picket lines. Fortunately, my plant is not on strike right now, but as you know, a lot of others are. So last weekend, or last Friday specifically, it was my second walk. I walked with Local 900 on Michigan Avenue, the Wayne Assembly Plant, or MAP. I also went over to a couple GM plants and walked with them for a little bit. We had 5 other mayors or township supervisors, and we walked together. And the workers, I thought, were very appreciative of getting city and local support walking. I know some state and county leaders have also done the walking. I'm hoping it makes a difference and we can end the strike sooner than later. It's been long enough already. As everyone knows, I'm not a big fan of social media. Typically, all you do is throw a lot of mud on the wall and see what sticks, and then you move on and let people comment. And I don't like commenting on it, but there's been a lot of stuff that has been sent to me regarding a few things. So I'm going to try and answer a lot of questions. They're going to go right in order of how they were printed on the social media site. And a lot of it has to do with the DDA. For those that didn't watch the DDA meeting last Tuesday, it was stated on there that City Council knows nothing or knew nothing of the proposal that I had made to the DDA in concerning the DDA director's position of working with the city and the DDA. I ran a campaign when I was running for mayor on getting an economic development director in. In December, our first meeting with the DDA, they were interviewing an individual for that position. It was mentioned there how the city would feel about working together on that. I said it would be a good thing, or I thought it could work out, city, DDA working together. There were a couple council members there. Apparently, they didn't know that that involved this position. Again, put out on media that said they knew nothing of it. We also passed in our budget this year, in our CIP, a proposal for a position. It passed unanimously. It's in our CIP for that position. Again, council, some people posted that council, not everybody on council knew about that. So I'm not sure how that one escaped that. It was also stated by someone that said state law says that the DDA director cannot work for the city. That is not correct. As a matter of fact, full-time DDA directors with the city include Jackson, Lathrop Village, Flat Rock, Redford, Dearborn, Wayne, and Westland. They all are full-time city employees and DDA directors. So, misinformation again put out on the website. In regards to the chili cook-off, again, DDA meeting, I have asked for months now for last year's records of the cook-off. Mostly for, you learn from your mistakes. If you lose money on one part of it, learn from it, move on, try to make it better. Our current director has said he cannot find them. I don't know where they are, but I have asked for them. And so, but on social media, it's been put out there that they're sitting right there in the DDA office. Obviously, our director can't find them right now. It's been stated that the money from the chili cook-off gets turned into the city, it gets counted, and then it gets deposited. That's sort of true. The city doesn't count it, the police don't count it. It basically gets taken to the police station, it gets picked up from the police station, it gets taken somewhere, counted, and then gets turned in. So, again, little misleading information by the social media. It was also put out that I'm against paying our volunteers to work at the chili cook-off. That is not true. That is not what I said. What I said was, I don't have a problem with paying the volunteers, even though it's kind of an oxymoron there that, you know, you're paying volunteers. But we need a lot of them, and that's the way to get them, so I'm all for it, so long as our DDA board approves it. What I do have an issue with, and I'm not sure if it's allowed, is if the DDA or any other taxpayer group or entity puts on an event, and just for round numbers, if the DDA puts out $20,000 for the chili cook-off and they make $10,000, we lost $10,000. There's no other way to look at it as far as I'm concerned. That's expense and revenue. if you're losing money, is it allowable to take taxpayer funds out of the DDA funds and pay charities? We already paid the employees or volunteers. Can you now make a donation out of taxpayer funds? That's what I questioned, and we're waiting on an opinion on that. I don't know that we can. So that also is misconstrued in the social media. It was also put out that rent-free space. And I'll kind of quote it. It said, rent-free space that was fully furnished with new furniture for use by the former mayor twice a week. That is not accurate. Actually, it's completely false. But again, you don't need facts. You just throw it against the wall and see what sticks. The VA Center at the Radcliffe Center was originally put in there for a veteran program for the American Legion to help veterans with their mostly their benefits, but a lot of medical issues. Right now, or before this, the only places were downtown. Actually, I think that was the only one, which meant they had to pay for parking, they had to walk quite a distance, which if they're having medical issues, probably isn't beneficial to them. So we did put a VA center in the Radcliffe Center to help out with our veterans. When they were only using it a couple days, and the downtown VA Center asked if they could come in and help also with some of their financial needs, veterans' financial needs, we said sure. They could split that room. It wasn't an additional expense, and it was helping our veterans. To say that the mayor, just because he's in charge, the former mayor, is in charge of that or using it or is done specifically for him is false. He is in charge of that department and giving out money to help veterans, but he very rarely is in that office. He has his employees use it. So again, we're trying to help veterans, and we did not feel that that is appropriate to charge them when the space was there. It was posted that we spent $1,500 on some safety lights for my vehicles, and that is correct. And I talked to Mayor Pro Tem Dole when I had it first done. One of the comments on social media was, it would have been nice to see the lights during the power outages. If anybody was out 1, 2 in the morning before I went to work, 4 or 5, 8 o'clock in the evening after I got off work, they would have seen those lights. I use them to pull up DDA or DTE trucks, some maintenance workers that were in some buildings. It's a safety issue. Obviously, if someone sees a vehicle just coming up, they're going to be a lot more apprehensive, not know who's coming up. So it is a safety issue. I used them. I was able to talk to DTE, and I also talked to residents afterwards because they seen that I was able to talk to them. So yes, I do have them. They do serve a purpose. I have been at accidents, and so people don't follow me into a certain area. I have turned them on, and I've talked to the police officers to see if there's any situation that I could be of help. So I don't see that as any kind of an issue, but again, it's someone on social media does. So in the name of transparency, yes, I do have those. I think that's about it. Again, people know I don't like the social media, and because you don't have to have facts. As the story goes, don't let facts ruin a good story. So they throw stuff out there and make stuff up and then just let it ride. And unfortunately, I don't like having to answer to it, but I will occasionally, especially when there's a lot of questions and they involve me. The GCYAA this weekend held a pep rally on Friday. It was fantastic. They had the shaving cream pie in the face. They had a dunk tank. I will say I did not volunteer for either one of those this year. You never know about next year, but it was a lot of fun. They also went out afterwards and TP'd a lot of houses, and I guess as puns would go, we have a clean city with all the toilet paper out there. Saturday was homecoming day. I believe 4 games or 5 games. Awesome crowd. I helped out at the concession stand, and they were packed, and it was a lot of fun, and the kids had a lot of fun, and there were a lot of people out there. President Joe Bandy, I'd like to mention all the GCYA volunteers, but there's way too many, and I would forget some of them or miss some of them. So I would just say the entire crew did an awesome job. They do a great job for the kids. It's just amazing how much fun the kids have and what the GCYA does for those kids. Keeps them out of trouble, keeps them safe, and lets them have fun. So thank you, Joe Bandy, and your staff. Having said that, no further business before this council. This meeting is adjourned.